Well, I am just in Trafalgar Square as this mass rally begins to arrive at its destination here. And I can tell you it's one of the biggest rallies, biggest protests we've seen in years here. What is most striking is how many of the placards and signs are personal attacks on the president. And you speak to many people here, and that's often the first thing that they say. But one of the other things you notice is all the flags organized by different groups here. And among the main ones, you see those from the socialist parties, those from Stop the War coalitions. And this was arranged by left-wing groups, and indeed we've seen a big outpouring of anti-Brexit people. And of course the president has spoken very openly about his support for Brexit, and particularly on this trip now, he's doubled down on that. He said that he thinks it's the best thing for the UK, and a lot of people here are upset at that intervention of sorts. But right now I'm in the middle of all these crowds, and certainly a lot of them seem to be particularly angry. And as more and more of them filter into the square, Trafalgar Square, where I am now, you start to see the mood changing perhaps a bit. There's a real sense of anger here, not only at President Trump personally and some of his policies, but also at the British government for giving him such a warm welcome. They have, of course, kept President Trump away from central London, some say to avoid these protests. But remember, this was a working visit by President Trump, not a state visit. So he was never due to come down the mall or do many of the things that other visits might have seen from here. So right now we're still starting to see this protest build. And of course, President Trump says that he does not feel welcomed here. But I can tell you from speaking on the streets of London to other people over the last couple of days, we've heard quite a lot of support for President Trump. People who have said that, in fact, they wish the UK had an equally strong leader who can guide them through this politically divided time here in the UK. And so, yes, we're seeing an incredible number of people out here protesting on a whole lot of different issues. But there are also a number of pro-Trump marches going on, and there is a concern that some of those might meet later. But certainly for the moment here, the striking thing is how some of these placards, how many of these people are launching personal attacks on the president rather than focusing on his policies.
Benjamin, it's Sandra, and part of the approval for that blimp that is flying around that is orange or yellow and it looks like the president, it was approved through the London mayor. And the president has had some choice words in response to the mayor, and he also said, I used to love London as a city, and this was ahead of his trip there. He said, I haven't been there for a long time, but when they make you feel unwelcome, why would I stay there? The president asked, and of course he only spent one night in the city.
Well, absolutely, and there are lots of people, I will tell you, in the UK who are very upset by that move, allowing for Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, to go out and give permission for people to launch this personal attack on the leader of the US has upset many, many people. And of course they have had, there's long been a spat between the two. President Trump has spoken out about Sadiq Khan, saying that his policies in London may have been to blame for some of the terror attacks that we've seen here. And so he also doubled down on that yesterday when President Trump gave an interview to the Sun newspaper here. He reaffirmed that. And so, yes, that's a major issue. It's going to be allowed to fly for 2 hours. And people are very upset about that. But you know, it's the mayor of London who has given permission for this blimp to fly, and certainly that has not been approved by everyone in the government.
Which flew for about
the US president.
2 hours earlier today and is back on the ground. Benjamin, based on your first answer, are you able to assess the majority of the people with whom you've had contact in Trafalgar Square? Are they protesting Donald Trump, or are they protesting the UK government and Theresa May? What is it?
It's hard to tell. Everyone here seems to be protesting something slightly different. As I said, there is a major anti-Brexit movement here, and that seems to be what has drawn many people out into the streets. But there are also just people who object to the way President Trump has spoken his mind, the way that he has, been outspoken on a lot of issues which people, particularly on the left, are so concerned about. And as I say, here you see a lot of flags. The majority of people here from the left, socialist parties, setting up tents. So it clearly is orchestrated by those who are on a different moral plane as the president.